Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the show. Listen, I'm glad to have you guys here. Now, what I want to talk about is, I don't think we're going to make it to 2020 before we see this recession strike and strike hard. Things are turning downwards too fast. Now, if you guys remember, if you guys watching my channel carefully, you'll know that I called it on this, that this Fed would stay pat and not cut rates or raise rates. I said they'd just stay level. And I said that before everybody else. And then I heard a lot of other people saying it just before it happened in the last few days. But I was in there earlier probably than most other people. When other people thought it was going to be a cut for sure, hey, we're going to have a cut, I was saying no, they're going to hang on. Now I'm telling you guys that we're in for 2, maybe 3 rate cuts before the end of this year. Quite seriously. I think the market's going to start to react now because they didn't cut rates. I think they're going to be forced to cut rates later this year. What they're trying to do is they're trying to front run this recession. They knew this recession was coming a long time ago. That's why they were trying to get rates up, so they'd have something to work against the recession, to fight against the recession with. But they didn't get very far from the zero bound. They only got, what, 2-point-something%, which is nothing because the last time we went into a recession, we had 5% or more that they could cut. Plus, the Fed didn't really have anything on their balance sheet back then like they do now. There's a worldwide recession coming in. I'm going to give you guys the reasons why I don't think that we're going to be able to hold it off until 2020. You know? And let's get started. Let's open up the charts right here. Let's take a look at what's going on. Evidently, Boris Johnson, he's a front runner over in England right now to be the new Prime Minister. And by gosh, he's got himself a cute girlfriend here, you know. They say it's a secret weapon of Boris Johnson, is Carrie Simons. Boris Johnson wants to become the new Prime Minister. His chances for the office are not bad. I'll say they're not bad. He's right in there to win. He's right in there to win. You look at the other candidates and you look at him, and I can see him going in easily, you know. He's a 54-year-old, Boris Johnson, and his girlfriend evidently is, I think, 31 years old, and she's pretty too. Nice, you know, good. Well, good for him. I'm glad he's got himself a nice, pretty girlfriend, you know. Anyway, let's take a look here at this article. It says, another candidate is out as far as Theresa May's succession to the head of England, to the not the head of England, the Queen's the head of England, but to the head of the being Prime Minister, in other words, the head of the government. Johnson wins and wins and wins, it says here. Ex-Foreign Minister Boris Johnson will be the next party leader of the Tories, ? And the next British Prime Minister, ? He's leading the way, Boris Johnson. And I don't see any turning back now. Now, Boris Johnson, he's going to bring I think he's going to bring the Brexit. And, you know, all of England is tired of this nonsense. They want it over with. And, I mean, it's one of these things, it's where it's like when you got a bad tooth, you know, and it's aching you all the time, and the best thing is to get the tooth out, you know, rather than suffering with the toothache endlessly for month after month after month. That's the way with Brexit. And they've been suffering for a long time. It's time to pull that tooth, and I think this is the guy to do it. But there's problems here. We got Italy. Italy's planning on bringing out a new currency. You know? Then we got Facebook. Believe it or not, Facebook is planning on bringing out a new currency. 2020 is the start date for Facebook's new currency. Now, do not get a chuckle out of Facebook bringing out a new currency, because Facebook is going in it with a lot of partners. They're hoping to have 100 partners to go into this new, and Facebook's big themselves. This thing could just explode on the scene, this new Facebook currency. At the same time, in around toward the end of this year, in October, late October, we've got the Brexit is probably going to actually happen. China undergoing a massive slowdown. And I mean it's massive. The Chinese banking system is starting to get really in trouble now. What we're looking at is the entire world congealing toward, and all the economies of the world. Now, the United States economy, it could hold out. If it was just the United States economy alone, on an island by themselves, they could hold out for a few more years, even though they're massively in debt, and they're never going to get out of that debt. They got like $100 trillion worth of unfunded liabilities. They're massively in debt. They could hold off for a while long because their economy is stumbling along. Here in Canada, our economy probably is not faring quite as well as the United States economy, but we could stumble along too. But Germany, Italy, the United Kingdom, China, they're not going to be able to hold out and wait. We can control our economy through the Federal Reserve. We can cut interest rates. We can come in with quantitative easing. We can come in with all sorts of different types of monetary stimulus to keep the economy perking along in the United States. If the stock market starts to fall, they will prop it up. But what about these other world economies? We do not exist as an island alone, all by ourselves. The whole world's economies are all interconnected now. Europe is a basket case. They're not going to be able to wait until 2020 before the recession. They're not going to be able to say, hey, hold on, we can't bring this recession in 2019 because the experts say that the recession has to come in 2020. We got to step back and we got to wait until 2020 before we can go down? No, that's not the way it works. Europe's going to go down before 2020, and then they're going to carry the United States down with them. You know? That's the way it really works. China's going to go down. They can't wait until 2020 either. They're slowing down at such an incredible rate of speed. Now, the damage has already been done. These trade tariffs that have come into place, you know? I'm going to shut the charts down. These trade tariffs that have come into place, they're hitting China, they're hitting the whole world's economy, and they're helping this irreversible slowdown to proceed much, much faster. Now, what this is like, it's like a train going down the tracks. It gains momentum and it gains speed. It takes a long time to speed a train up, and it takes a long time to slow it down. This slowing down of the world's economy has been picking up pace over the last few months, and it's speeding like a speeding train, a runaway train going down a hill, faster and faster. You can slam on the brakes, and that's what the Federal Reserve is going to do when they pull the brake, which is cutting interest rates and going back to softer monetary policy. All you're going to see is that wheel lock up on the tracks and a whole bunch of sparks. But the train's going to keep on going at high speed down the mountain, even though they've thrown on the handbrake. It's not going to stop it, because there's so much momentum built up at this point, heading toward a recession, a worldwide global recession, that you're not going to be able to completely stop it on a dime and make it stop. It's going to continue with its forward momentum. And in fact, it's gaining speed. Britain, leaving the European Union, especially with a no deal, is going to significantly speed up this process. Boris Johnson looks like he's going to go into office. He's going to bring that no deal Brexit more than likely. Of course, that's what I've been calling for on my channel. I've said that the no-deal Brexit's probably going to be the way this goes, and it's probably going to be in October. So, we're not going to make it till 2020. This is the point I'm making. Not because the United States is going to go down first. The empire never goes down first. It's always the periphery of the empire that goes down, and then that carries the empire down afterwards. The empire's currency, just like when Rome fell, the empire's currency holds its value to the end. It's the outliers. It's the in this day and age, it would be the emerging markets that go down first, and then they carry the empire down. Of course, you know, China is an emerging market. It's listed as an emerging market country, and China is, right now, they're barreling toward trouble. These trade tariffs, especially big corporations in China like Huawei, the big phone company that makes phones, their profit margins are gonna be cut drastically. And this is a flagship corporation in China right now. They are in China right now. There was a time not too long ago, a year ago, in China, when you had to go on a waiting list to buy a home. Because in China, people make investments in homes. This is where they put their money. This is their bank account. Their bank account is to buy a home. Real estate values in homes. The companies, they had to go on a waiting list, oftentimes, a long waiting list to wait to be able to buy a new home. Now, there's not only is there no waiting list, but they're offering you a discount on the price of a new home in China now at this point, right? So what does that mean for the people that 6 months ago, a year ago, bought a home at full price, and now the Chinese company that sells the homes is giving a big discount? This means that that direct amount that they're discounting the new home brings the price of the home that the other people bought down by that same percentage. This is what it means for the Chinese people. And they're upset about it. They're standing out in front of real estate offices, waving signs in the air, saying unfair practices, and so on. And they're mad. They're really mad because they've lost a lot of their savings. Whatever the real estate company decides to cut the prices by. And this is what's going on. This is the first start of the Chinese real estate market going under, which is the biggest real estate market on earth. This is going to accelerate. It's going to make the subprime mortgage crisis in the United States look like a cakewalk. The United Kingdom right now is barely keeping their head above water as far as recession goes. So is Germany. Barely. And Italy was in a recession. Then they said Italy's out of a recession. But Italy's actually been in a recession all along. They're fudging the numbers. This is a new thing they do, by the way, if you guys haven't learned about it yet. What they do is they change the numbers. They do it. They'll do what's called adjustments, adjusted numbers. They'll say seasonally adjusted numbers or whatever. You know what I mean? It's basically fudging all the numbers. In the United States, they have ways of fudging the unemployment numbers and everything. All these numbers that are coming out, they're able to fudge them to a certain degree to make the economy. And in China, they've become so expert at doing this that their numbers are not credible whatsoever. Like the Chinese GDP numbers, not credible whatsoever. And everybody knows they're not credible. But everybody just kind of goes with it because it gives you some sort of a scale to judge China by. So if they come out and they say that their GDP is like 6.25%, it's probably 3.25%. But it gives you a scale, because then when they come out again 6 months later and they say, well, our number is now 5.5% GDP, then you can say, you can dock about 3 points off of it and say it's 3 points lower than what it is. But it gives you kind of an idea where they're at, you know. Anyway, we got big problems in the world. We're not going to make it until 2020 before everything starts to congeal together. It's been slowly congealing over the past number of months. Different small things that the normal, common, everyday person wouldn't really notice, like the yield curve inversion. People out there, they're too busy to notice things like that. And they think the economy's okay. You know? This is really going to take them by surprise when later this year the worldwide economy goes into a depression. Not a recession. I know they're calling for a recession, but actually this is going to be worse. It's going to be worse than 2008. And everything seems like it's going to come together at once. I would not be a bit surprised if Deutsche Bank holds off until the fall when everything else is popping. Everything else, is being destroyed. The whole economy's falling off a cliff. And that's when Deutsche Bank goes down too, to add more fuel to an already big bonfire. This is what I expect. So listen, thank you guys for listening. Like and subscribe, and we'll catch you guys in the next show. Bye-bye.